And we are live. Hey guys, how is everyone? How are you doing?
Hello.
Hello. So hello everyone as well. Great to see you all in here. Steadystate welcomes you all, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Sylvia, aka Crypto Empress, and I'm here today to help you get your questions answered and to delegate the fireside chat. Any questions you have, you can write them to the stream chat and I'll forward them to our speakers. Before we move on to the introduction of our speakers, we invite our viewers to take part in Steadystate's meme contest, which ends in 15 days. Check out Steadystate's Twitter and find the gleam.io page to see the rules and requirements. Steadystate team will choose 3 winners based on creativity, quality, and funniness. And our today's speakers are Jonathan Libby, the founder and CEO of Steadystate, Brian McCabe, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Steadystate, and our special guest, Brad Yazar, who is the CEO of EQIFI. We take into discussion the details of the EQIFI and Steadystate partnership. Also, a reminder, we are not financial advisors and nothing we say should be taken as such. This is for entertainment purposes only. But first, we look at recent news in DeFi related to hacks and exploits. So, Phantom DeFi protocol, Steak has suffered an exploit allowing a hacker to mint massive amounts of the protocol's Steak token. Do you guys know what happened, or can you guess what happened with the token after this hack? Exactly, Jonathan. So the hack made the reward token crash by 93%, which kind of some people say it won't return to the same as it was before, even though, as we've seen previously, all these hacks happening and the protocols or projects actually do recover. But some people say that this is the end of the party for Steak reward token. So currently the exact cause of the exploit is unknown. However, Steak team has reassured users that funds deposited into the protocol's pools are safe. Funds are safe, as they always say. Compound, a popular cryptocurrency platform, last week put out what should have been a routine update to the code that governs users' transactions. However, the update contained a bug that mistakenly sent up to $90 million worth of crypto tokens to some users' accounts. Lucky them. First, the company's founder, Robert Lesner, said that users could keep 10% of the funds as a bonus, but threatened to reveal the identities of holdouts who don't return the money. So far, around 36 million has been returned. But what happened with Compound Labs was the opposite of a typical hack in which a person or group exploits a bug to take money from others. And that also made me wonder, if an opposite hack like this happens, is this insured as well? Would something like this be insured by Steadystate, for example?
Yeah, so the goal, as long as I think our goal right now is that we're still in the design aspect of how the on-chain parametric insurance will work. But the goal is yes, we want to categorize and simplify exposure. And so we should categorize bugs, exploits, or flash and attacks. So you'll start with the simples and the basics of what we're really concerned about, and basically create a criteria for what we're looking for on those in those categories. And so if a bug, if it's definitively known that this was a bug and you are insured against bug attacks on the parametric level against Compound, then yes, after payments are given back and after distribution is, if like a group like EQIFI saw a loss if they're using Compound, the goal is if they have coverage for their exposure, basically to their whole portfolio, and they see like a 20 million hit, if it's 20 million of they're insured for, then that payout will trigger to them. And the goal is to make sure it's easy for the payout to move through. as well as with set criterias of what makes a bug, of what makes an exploit, of what makes those kind of different hacks. But yeah, so the long story short, yes, bugs would be covered, and they would probably be, the payout would happen post to the event to evaluate what the actual transactional loss was to different groups.
Ooh, thank you, Jonathan. This is good news. But moving on.
Sorry to jump in, John. I just was thinking, like, on this point that if a hack happens in a sense that ends up where a token distributes out to its users, I don't know. I could almost see this as like a PR thing, like essentially, like Sylvia said, asking your users to send back money or else is a pretty maybe strange way to go about handling their token to the community. But I don't know. Just on one side, I could potentially see they could maybe handle this better themselves by calling it a distribution, maybe the same thing that many exchanges have done, and it could be a community positive. I don't necessarily say that's the way to go, but in our case, if they just printed more tokens, they're essentially like redistributing their own tokens. So in a sense, maybe their TVL might not have suffered a loss, but they might have just watered down their token supply, let's say, or distributed more to users. It's an interesting case that, like, okay, of course they're being asked to give back, but yeah, it's definitely one I haven't seen before anyway. This was very interesting.
Would you give it back though? Okay, you don't have to answer that. Anyway, moving on to today's topic, Steadystate collaborates with EQIFI, the first DeFi platform partnered with a global bank. John and Brian, what does this new partnership mean for Steadystate?
Well, we're starting to see a trend of people that are looking for coverage protection, and it's people trying to attract retailers or common users. I know based on the market research we've done, I imagine Brad has probably seen this for EQIFI, is one of the big hindrances for mainstream adoption from retailers, mom and pop shops, to using DeFi or getting returns in DeFi. Is DeFi as a scam, and we're very much proving that it's not a scam. The second, or if I use a group like EQIFI or Yield App or any different kinds of systems, you're asking yourself, is are my deposits insured? And be able for people like EQIFI, Yield App, and other different groups like that, to be able to tell them, yeah, we are insured, or we're insuring and protecting you, is one more narrative a positive towards groups like these, and one less reason for people not to deposit high amounts of capital with the highest returns possible they can possibly get currently in the financial markets, and still of a risk management way that EQIFI and all these other groups are doing. So that's just one reason for these guys to, and by ensuring these kinds of businesses, it's really pushing forward mainstream adoption and mass adoption for retailers, and letting us actually doing our due diligence and be responsible and taking the steps that we need to as an industry to make sure we're protecting our users and consumers. Would you agree, Brad?
Yeah. I think the main reason why we value peace of mind above all else is because of the barriers of entry that exist in the space that we're trying to break down. So we're positioning EQIFI as a gateway to crypto, as the entry point for people who don't own any cryptocurrencies, they don't have any wallets, they may not understand the underlying technology as well as maybe people on this show. So what comes to their mind is, how safe is your platform? Now, my team and we have a track record of building over 50, 60 blockchain projects. We've never been hacked. So from a technology perspective, I can speak with peace of mind and tell them that we are building bank grade software because we've worked with traditional financial institutions, built software, both front end, middleware, and back end for them. And now we're bringing the same experience, same methodical approach to crypto. But on the flip side, when you go to a bank account in most countries, people see that FDIC insurance or similar protection in their mind attached to that account. So they go look at their checking account, and yes, it doesn't earn any interest. Yes, it may be losing to a negative interest and having high fees, things like that. But still, in the back of their minds, they're thinking this is insured by someone who can pay me back. Now, in DeFi, that has not been the case. Some exchanges, some DeFi protocols have been very generous, have set up their internal funds, and when something unexpected that could hurt the users happen, they trigger that and help the users out so they don't suffer any losses. But short of that, there hasn't been an industry-wide accepted partner to rely on for insurance to put people's minds at ease. I mean, again, is a bug on the code a hack, or should they return it? Should they not? In the compounds case, that's complicated because that's an internal thing that unfortunately that happened to them. It wasn't an external thing. But there's also a lot of nefarious actors who are constantly trying to break down what DeFi projects have built and financially benefit from it. I know because we've been under attack since 5 days before we launched with EQIFI, and every day it's nonstop. Someone is trying to get access, gain access, break something, and so it's very timely and needed to have a solution like Steadystate where people can see the insurance is there. It's not like, oh yeah, we're insured, and then you're not disclosing any policies, you're not disclosing any numbers, you're just saying we're insured. Whereas with Steadystate, it's there, it's visible, it's decentralized, and we really like that. Hence the partnership, hence the excitement around this product, because we want to have not just one but multiple layers of protection for our users on our platform. So we want to have protection against hacks and exploits. We want to have additional insurance if people feel compelled to request it and pay for it. And we want to have all those options available. So when someone comes to the platform, they see that not only their funds are, safe and secure, but also there are additional options they can add on to even make it safer. And for some people, it's very important. Just like you said, institutionals, corporates, people who are used to having very sturdy financial and banking products behind the value that they're locking in and the wealth they're locking in on any with any institution, and we want to cover them and even deliver more than what they're asking for.
And I really love your point on putting people's minds at ease. And also, very cool, you haven't had not a single hack. We also have a question about that from our viewers. Let me find it from here. What Sober Music TLN asks, Brad, what's the secret sauce of your build set? Not one of the projects has been hacked.
There's no secret sauce. It's just a methodical approach to development, not cutting corners. A lot of the projects rush to the market. Unfortunately, they worked with maybe underqualified developers. They share code, which we're all about partnerships. When we launched EQIFI, my main point was we're going to grow through partnerships, not through competition, and we continue to live that. But having said that, when you grab some open source code that you base your whole business around and not necessarily understand it well enough to make the necessary changes for your needs, it's yielded some pretty avoidable hacks in the past 2-3 years. If you look into the DeFi space, an exploit is found that exists on one piece of subroutine or protocol, and then everyone who used that underlying bit of software gets hacked because they didn't check the code. They just grabbed something from open source, GitHub's kind of repository, and plugged it into a multi-million dollar, if not billion-dollar DeFi project, and that's not the ideal approach. We do a lot of testing before anything is deployed. We try to take down our own code before anyone else does. We get audited by outside parties that we trust several times before a launch, and we run a bug bounty because they're very brilliant people with a lot of experience and knowledge and skills who are just idle and looking to break into things. And if they can break into our software, we want to reward them, because that's an accomplishment for them. But we don't want the reward to be coming from our user's wallet. We want it to be coming from our own wallet. So they understand, okay, if you find something, instead of exploiting it, come to us. We're going to recognize your efforts and your contribution, however negatively it may be perceived, into making the system stronger. So it's just good methodology, taking time and the necessary steps to test everything, secure everything, and not rushing, anything to the market, and not necessarily using third-party open source code that we're not fully knowledgeable about.
That's a very smart system that you have in place. Very awesome. We also have a question for you, Brad, from Muhammad Mudassir. Will EQIFI become an exchange?
EQIFI is already, will it become an exchange? As in, will we take down everything and put in a trading view screen and an order book kind of exchange? Probably not, because again, the gateway to crypto it does not start with a complicated trader setup. Are we an exchange? We already allow EQIFI to be traded for I think 5 different assets right now on our platform. So we do have a mini swap function where you can come in with your crypto and get our token, and vice versa. Would that grow into more pairs and more assets supported? Absolutely. If our community needs more exchange-like functions on the platform readily available, absolutely, we will build it. If that's not a priority, we won't prioritize that, because there's so much we can build, and we want to have a roadmap that reflects our community's needs and expectations from us. Can we go and build a multi-chain exchange? Absolutely. Has anyone asked us to do it for EQIFI? No. There are exchanges. We're partners with them. We work really well. So I'll let the existing exchanges do the exchanging, and we'll still provide the entry point for non-crypto users into the DeFi world, and make it as seamless and simple as possible.
Love it. It's like building a bridge between traditional finance and DeFi.
You're using our slogan. Yes, it is.
Awesome. But Sean or Brian, what specifically makes Steadystate a workable solution for EQIFI and other CeFi platforms?
Well, currently there's very limited offers for these guys to get protection for their community. The only offer really available is for them to try to do something within their own internal treasury, or to go through Lloyd's of London, which is an alternative syndicated pool insurance provider. A lot of these people trying to provide insurance, though, are insuring $10 billion, say, worth of clients. I don't know if that number is completely accurate, but this is the kind of strategy they're doing with about $100 million of actual protection available. So there's a very big disconnect currently about what's being protected, what they're promising to protect, and what can actually be protected. What we're looking to do is basically EQIFI can set how much parameters for what they want insured, how much they want insured, and if we're going to be people can organize capital to insure them to receive, let's say, EQI tokens, or as well as risk tokens, as well as we'll also be providing our own insurance funds, also organizing that to try to insure them. And what this allows is it allows more retailers as well as normal, very native, knowledgeable people to be staking capital in good projects that are going to be hedging and diversifying their own risk naturally, and you can protect and receive a high return for protecting, getting their own, covering their own risk, and ideally using those tokens to then get into that ecosystem. And then kind of what we're also looking to do is we're going to be building our own insurance fund and multiple other insurance funds being built around also to eventually offer different kinds of premium offers that are lower for EQIFI while keeping it high for the stakers. But kind of at a high level approach, EQIFI will be able to tell we're insured for this. We can prove how much they're insured for, and they can show what exactly they're being insured for, the parameters. So they're being very open, transparent to their community, showing how they're being protected, what's being protected, and what capital is available to actually protect them, which is better than any other industry or any other way you can really get in the market currently. As well as, again, I want to reiterate, there are people promising to protect with about, say, again, $100 million in actual value, trying to protect $10 billion. Promising to insure $10 billion or more worth of assets. And that's a very dangerous model, as well as we can't even confirm whether or not they even have that 100 million. That's just what they're saying on paper, which that's questionable if it's even that. And so a lot of these insurance models are, there's very limited offerings for protection for communities available in the industry currently. And I think our model is decentralized. It's a platform that can merge CeFi and DeFi. It means normal CeFi concepts, institutional finance, to actually better to protect CeFi as well as DeFi platforms. Does that all make sense? With that one over?
I think so. I'll kind of quickly summarize a bit, I guess, in what I heard from John, maybe. But I think one thing I'd like to ask actually Brad, because in our collaboration, we're trying to really get to know what the needs of EQIFI's users are. And I would bank, as he mentioned, with the FDIC insurance, that the number one is that funds which are invested through EQIFI are safe if they're in DeFi protocol or if they're in a DeFi project. And I guess the first thing we're looking at down the line is to build out these products which can insure their funds which are being used to yield aggregators or yield farms, etc. But yeah, one of the things that we really want to do is also just provide opportunities, because on one side, I'm sure EQIFI users, they want safe, secure platform which they can rely on. And on the other side, they also want high yield opportunities to earn reward. And that's what we're coming into to offer cover for. But on the other side, we haven't got a rigid framework of how we're going to work together, because on one side, when we build out the product, we'll have the chance for users to also stake other protocols, insurance pools on Steadystate and earn rewards. So there is also down the lines many opportunities for capital coming into DeFi to potentially start earning yield in some of our insurance pools. And there's several ways that we can sort of work together and talk about needs, user concerns, but essentially listening to partners like EQIFI is how we're going to grow, and we're really excited for that.
That is great. But regarding Steadystate, why did you, Brad, begin to look for, instead of using some of those currently available, like Nexus Mutual, for example?
That's a good question. And we are actually looking into all options and having conversations with all the parties that may provide a piece of the puzzle. Of course, some of the conversations are much more tighter, like with Steadystate, because the protocol is being built, and we got introduced and like what each other is doing at a really beginning stage. Just like Brian said, we're able to have some influence on what's being proposed and shape it in the image of our needs and our users' needs. So there's that advantage. I appreciate how open and supportive John has been, and what we can do together, because it's not an established multi-billion-dollar company. When we go to Lloyd's of London, they already have their actuarial tables. They already have their set structures and products in place, and you kind of pick and choose one of them, and you need to fit in one of those categories. So they look at it, they say this is crypto, there are smart contracts involved, so you're going to be in this risk group. And there's nothing we can tell them to change that, because that's determined by their actuaries, and that's what we have to work with. With an opportunity like Steadystate, it's much different, because we can sit down and create a solution just for EQIFI. We can say EQIFI pool is just going to work like this, because this is our expected risk profile and this is what our users want. And because it's decentralized, we can even involve the same users in the insurance of their own funds, which means the actuarial tables and rigid structures are out of the window. Now we can do something very customizable, because we're not asking some third party who doesn't use DeFi, who doesn't necessarily understand the underlying technology to insure something. We're going to the same people who have been using DeFi and are looking to have that layer of protection, and asking them to create that layer. So it changes the dialogue dynamically, which is really great for us. And again, we're not excluding any option. I mean, we have insurance on the development side already that insures everything we develop. We have traditional insurance partners, which is again needed for certain types of risks that we identified. And then we have decentralized, programmatic, DeFi-related risks, and there I think Steadystate is a great solution, and that's why we're partnered up.
One thing I would like to quickly add is that, to simply put, why not go to Nexus Mutual is Nexus Mutual is retail insurance. There's retailers get insurance to their exposure to EQIFI, where how that would work is EQIFI can say organize a pool, and then retailers have to directly go on the Nexus Mutual system and insure themselves from all the different kinds of risks they want. And when they insure those risks, who determines whether or not they get paid out if an event does happen is the people who provide the capital to insure them, the arbitrators or the Nexus Mutual governance system. What we're doing simply is, rather than having retailers getting their insurance directly, is we're providing direct insurance directly to the protocols or the CeFi and DeFi businesses. And what this does basically is, and our parameters are, for the most part, playing to be something called parametric. We agree to the criteria of what the coverage and what an insurable event it is with the party pre to the event, rather during, and decide, is it a bug? Do we insure bugs? Do we insure black hats? We determine this is the coverage, this is the parameters, we agree on this, and the payout is clear and designed. And then also, again, it's insurance directly for protocols. Imagine, rather than retailers, say if an event does happen, say in a protocol, you point the finger at the retailer saying, we should have got insurance from Nexus Mutual that has around a 20% chance to get a claim. Or the business protocols can say, don't worry, man, I know you use our community, we got you, we are insured, we're going to protect our own community. And that's really the narrative difference between Steadystate and Nexus Mutual is retail insurance. Retailers are not going to insure themselves, but there will be a demand eventually for businesses to start protecting their communities. And EQIFI is taking a very proactive step in doing that, and doing that across the board.
Yeah, I just add really quick as well, like to get the similar insurance I think Boss asked in the comments there about if their EQX tokens would be insured just like FDIC. So like as John said, when we come to make a contract between whether it was Steadystate and EQIFI, we can put exactly what coverage and what tokens would be covered. So let's say when that time would come, we would say, okay, we want to cover X amount of EQX. Potentially, I mean, I guess EQIFI could be holding a lot of ETH, which is staked in various DeFi protocols. So they want to cover X amount of ETH exposure. And this would be something which would essentially be like in this contract, which I'm sure John could say more about. But it's we would be making customizable what would be like in modern day world considered like business interruption insurance. The policies can be made; they're made between the partners, and yeah, that's the simplest way I can put it. It's customizable.
Thank you, Jonathan and Brad. We also have like many questions coming from our viewers. Let's check it out. So I'll just start from somewhere from the top. Brad, give us some alpha about EQIFI's yield strategies.
Well, we don't want to publicly disclose our strategies. What I can tell about our yield product that's most exciting for me, and I believe it will be for our users too, is that when I started exploring yield in different pools and different blockchains and different projects, although I consider myself technically savvy in crypto and blockchain, and technically savvy in banking and finance, those are both my dual backgrounds, I had a hard time really understanding the true returns and finding the best pools, best pairs, best projects in a timely manner. Just because there's so many of them. So when we were creating our yield product, we had one thing in mind, and that was my personal frustration around where can I find the best yield with the lowest risk? Not the best yield, highest yield with highest risk, because there's a lot of websites that'll give you that ranking. This pool is paying 5,000 APY with, we all know that's not sustainable, but things like that. So our strategy was never max out everything. It was, let's minimize risk. There's always risk in any investment, but let's minimize risk and maximize the potential returns for our users, so they don't have to jump from 5 different level 1 chains, one to the other, from different dexes, different projects, and try to figure out, okay, where should I leave my value in the next 24, 48 hours, week, 2 months, whatever their time frame is. So what our yield aggregator does is it scours the blockchain for all these opportunities on everyone's behalf, looks at the pools. We have 12-point risk assessment criteria that, we look at certain things like number of wallets, liquidity, depth, number of transactions, and few other things to assess each opportunity, each project, each pool. And then we distribute the funds in a certain category based on that. So we right now have a low risk, medium risk, and higher risk pools that people can invest in for the yield. They don't need to do the individual assessment for all the projects in that in that pool, or try to figure out the individual projects and assess them, because our aggregator does it automatically, which is really exciting for me, because then I don't need to read about these projects. There is a system in place that checks all the points that we want to check for each opportunity, and then deploys capital based on the score. And I think that's the most exciting thing. We're saving people incredible amounts of time, because Brian can jump on the internet and fire up 5-6 wallets and start looking at new projects and probably get the same yield as we do himself. It'll take him 48 hours. So he already lost a day of investing because he had to manually look, do the assessment, do the due diligence that every investor in any kind of investment should do, and then make a decision to place funds there. And by the time he places funds, the best opportunities have already changed because crypto moves so fast. We automated that to a point where we're confident, given certain risk profiles, we're getting really good returns. Now, again, some people may say, well, there are projects returning 400%, and the maximum we saw on your website is 25. Well, our 25 is assessed to be reliable for 12 months, not 2 days, not 4 hours. So if you want to really play the market that way, then absolutely you can do that. But if you're looking for long-term steady returns and ROI, then you really need to check out our product and see how it works.
Yeah, I'll just really quickly add on here that's a great point you went into, Brad, about time saving, because when we consider how our product worked as well and how current insurance models work, like John said about individual insurance, I mean, right now, if you're invested in a protocol and you want to basically insure your risk with that protocol, you're going to have to go out to the market, find a private provider, make an individual contract for this individual token that you hold. You probably have to do some risk assessment of the token itself, like who is on the team, are they known, have they good rep? All of this is a lot of time-saving work. And as we talked about on the previous fireside chats with the risk analysis database, I mean, we're attempting to pull in what is the signals that individuals are using right now to price this risk. And we're attempting to offer efficiency, do it for them in a sense, but also just put it out in a clear, transparent way that people can say, okay, it might not be that it's a 300% yield product, but on our side, it might be, actually, the risk of this is like only 5%. Maybe on Nexus Mutual, where they haven't got the metrics or they haven't got the numbers, it could be 20%. So we aim to add efficiencies to the market in both time and, in our case, what might be lower yields for protocols to get insurance.
And that's why this is an exciting partnership, because not only the products are complementary and what we're doing is complementary, but the approach and the vision is also very well aligned.
Yep. Time is money. So saving time is saving money. But we also had here, let me see, it was good. Danny Keller was asking a question about, can anyone explain the relationship between yield, steady state, and EQIFI? We got some sort of an answer, but maybe guys, you can give your own input as well. And he also asked, so yield is not the only company working with steady state.
Well, first of all, people we're working together or partnered with. There is a list. There's more to come. But currently what we've announced publicly that either we're working together or we're partnering has been Chainlink with the Keepers Network we're applying, but Yield.app, EQIFI, not just EQIFI, Orbit, and Flourishing Capital. So with EQIFI and Orbit and Flourishing Capital and Yield.app, we're not only looking to be their insurance provider, what we're also looking to be for these people, what they're looking to do for us is actually get involved in making sure the policies are right for them or what they're looking for, and making sure that the products we're building are solid. So we'll actually, we just began the serious coding process. We're very excited over a lot of we have architected, and we're still in more of a design phase. And once we have it all done, Yield.app is already very active. EQIFI will be getting more active, and other groups will start getting more active in different aspects of what we're designing. And EQIFI plans to be, relatively very active, from what I understand, down the road once we really start getting the design phase, and making sure that they're getting the policies they're looking for and they want. But we have a long list of more groups we plan to list, and it'll all be put on the website. But we have a group, and we have a lot we want to. We have a lot we want to keep adding and keep showing off, but I really hope people show that we're very serious about what we're building, and we're very serious about what we're working towards. EQIFI, Yield.app, Orbit, Flourishing Capital, and Chainlink are all very good relationships to have in their own manner. And it shows our seriousness and willingness to work and build a product that has immediate market need and can solve a lot of problems. And we're really excited to work with people like Brad and Tim Frost, where our visions are aligned in a simpler, stronger, safer future of DeFi for as many people as possible.
So we are, again, approaching this a little different from everyone else in the space, because everyone is like comparing market share and things like that. And we're saying we want to have as many partnerships as possible and grow the pie itself as large as possible. So it shouldn't matter how big or small of a sliver we all have, as long as the market itself is growing. With that mindset, we're very supportive of all the DeFi projects, whether it's Yield app or Aave or Compound or Nexo. I mean, we have partnerships with every single one of them, and of course with projects like Steadystate, it's an improvement to the whole ecosystem. So we're even more excited about people coming in and saying, hey, we're going to give you more picks and shovels, more tools to make your protocols, your platforms, your products better and more exciting for the users. So the relationship is mostly mutual respect and support, whether that support is financial, whether that support is technical, or just purely business, where we support each other's growth. That's as simple as I can put it. We support all the projects, and we'll continue to do so, both layer one protocols, because we want to be chain agnostic. And I know some people hate that. They say you can't be chain agnostic. You're going to be on one chain or another. And the way I use that is, obviously we're going to be on a chain because it's blockchain, but we don't want our product development decisions, we don't want our community development decisions to be based and influenced by a specific blockchain. We want to be available on as many of them as possible. And so again, that opens up so many partnerships, Sylvia, that I don't think we're going to compete with anyone, at least in the next 10 years. I think we're just going to add more partnerships, support more new and existing projects through our efforts, and truly be that gateway to crypto.
Build the monster, right, Brad? And when everyone else comes in, they were like, oh wait, we have to compete with him? Oh yeah, you can have the industry,
Love it. Also, Brad, we have a question for you from Muhammad. When you plan to start staking on BSC? I love BSC. I don't want to go Ethereum network. Can you give estimated date?
Well, my marketing team is not going to like me too much, but that's going to be probably in the next 2 weeks. There's an announcement coming. Our technology roadmap, I don't want to sidetrack the conversation, was always we start on Ethereum. just because Ethereum has been very good to us, and we want to recognize its place and importance in the ecosystem. Then obviously Binance Smart Chain has a lot of users, a lot of activity, a lot of love from the community. So that's next, and that's up and coming. It's in the testing phase right now. It's that close. And then from there on, there are newer chains that we really want to engage with, because they have, again, very vibrant communities, different transaction and fee structures. At the end of the day, the vision for EQIFI is, there is going to come a day where you're not going to know what chain you're on EQIFI. You're just going to see a return. You're going to see a financial product. You're going to like it. You're going to put your money in it, whether it was crypto, fiat, it's not going to matter. You're going to be on the platform and you're going to say, 20% return. I like that. I'm moving this much value into it. And that's all you're going to know. You're not going to have a MetaMask. You're not going to have a wallet. I mean, if you want the advanced super user interface, we'll give you all those things, because the backend is going to be on the blockchain and you're going to be able to interact with those. But if you're, my dad or my grandma, and you just want to put some retirement money into a high yield product, you're just going to click again, and that's going to be the experience. So I'm super excited to build that future, but until we get there, I know we need to be on a few more blockchains so that it's seamless.
That's really cool. I believe I saw this saying as well about when first internet came, and by now everyone is using the internet without actually knowing how it even works. You just do your things. I believe crypto and DeFi eventually, as you said, your father and grandmother, they won't know how the system exactly works. They just do their thing, and it's really simple. But also, Brad, one question from Katad. When will loyal holders get credit cards?
Loyal holders can get credit cards now. I think our credit card program is live. We ordered the first batch of, I believe, 30,000 cards already. So, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't get it now. Obviously, if you want to be one of the first ones to have an EQIFI card, you are going to probably help us fine-tune the process a little bit and iron out the wrinkles in it. So I'd say be patient, but as far as program being live, it is right now. Obviously, we did not do a big push because we're still ironing out the kinks. But if someone wants to help us with that journey, they can they can apply for it, and we'll do our best to deliver it in a timely manner.
That is great. And we finish by coming back to the topic where we first started, related to hacks and the compound bug that happened. So we had a question from Katdad. If we refer to the doctrine Cody's law, then how can this compound incident be considered a hack? This was all built into the code, and the existing rules and framework were just applied by a user in a certain way. Can we get a comment from Brian about this? A big fan of his shooting voice. If we refer to the doctrine Cody's law, then how can this compound incident be considered a hack?
Yeah, it's a good question. Stumped me, Katdad. Thank you. It's a good one. Like I said to John, it's debatable if it's a hack. It's definitely an exploit. How the exploit is to be treated, I think that comes down to their community. As far as I know, there's quite a big discussion going on with their own DAO about how to handle this and how to handle potential people that don't want to contribute. It could be an interesting case to watch, I think, more than considering it just simply Cody's law. They have quite a rigorous debate going on. Maybe they're going to kick out some of their community members who don't do it. it could be one of these cases that shows the weaknesses and strengths of how a DAO can operate. So I think on that side, maybe not code is law, but let's see how DAOs work would be principle I'm looking at right now.
What I would say is parametric insurance is law as well. For code of law, parametric insurance is law. It's agreed upon criteria that's meant to do something. Where with the speculation with whether or not a bug is an exploit or not, it's when you make a code, you attempt for this code to do something else, do this, and it does something else. But the code is flawed. Like the code was already written and it was meant to do that. And because it was written, you intended for do this, but because of how you written it was able to do all these other things. The question is, how does that work? That's a slippery slope fallacy, in my opinion, where when you start thinking about, well, I did this, and by allowing this, you can do this, this, and this, and this, but this, and this, and this harms other people, but this doesn't allow you to harm other people. That becomes more of an argument or a statement. You have to start thinking about, okay, if code is law, if it comes down to the intentions, if the intentions aren't equitably met or including met, or you state it will do this and just used to do X, Y, Z other things, is that accurate? That's an ethical question we've been dealing with forever, and often this is why there's always going to be a need for evaluating definition of what is intention and what's not. But it'll always come down to is the market, and if we consider that if it fails to meet intentions and the market agrees that this is something worth covering, let's say that fails to meet intentions, well, therefore you provide coverage. If the market doesn't, then it doesn't. But that's a narrative and ethical argument that's going to follow us to the end of time, whether it's code or gun safety or anything. So it's just going to follow us.
As someone who's been developing software for almost 40 years, I think code is law goes only so far, because as soon as you build something and you release it to the public, there are going to be people who either break it or use it in a completely unintended way. So just because the underlying code has a weakness or an issue that is exploitable, that doesn't, at least in my personal opinion, entitle you to do harm with it, right? I mean, if you know what you're doing is not the intended result, but you keep doing it for self-enrichment, for benefiting a small group, a subset group of the overall community, I think that turns into, just like John said, an ethical question, not a code question. Now, because we're talking about compound, in this instance, the organization is large enough and the community strong enough to rectify this without penalizing any community member. You can have creative, I mean, I'm not trying to solve their problem for them, but you can create a solution where maybe the people who did benefit from the bug still are not put under the light and asked to do something that maybe most of them don't want to do, and at the same time protect the community at large with the mechanism. I mean, obviously there's some dilution when you print unexpected amounts of new tokens. It also has to come from a treasury, a bucket that was designed for a specific purpose. So there's going to be limitations there. But I think there is a community-centered way to address this, because it wasn't a hack. It wasn't something that someone else injected into their smart contracts or corrupted or benefited from. It was deployed by the organization itself, the DAO itself. So again, in this instance, it's how do we do the best for the community as a whole, as opposed to how do we make it right for a small subset, or how does that small subset benefit more than the others. I mean, it should always be, when we talk about decentralized and community-driven projects, it should always be thought as, how can we make this the best outcome for the community? Because there's no company, there's no shareholders. We're all token holders, so we all get affected from it. But how do we optimize the outcome? So when a hack or exploit or whatever happens, I think that's going to be the mindset we have, and we hope that the DeFi community as a whole in general does the same thing.
Another thing to think about as well, just one other thing to add, then I'll be done, is if, say we call that code as law, okay, and we go into ethical argument because the code is meant to do this, therefore it's like no one's responsible, or like there's no risk involved. 25% of the treasury of Compound was at risk, I believe, total, from this event could have been held at risk. Ask any ecosystem if our treasury feels 25% of their value, what are the long-term detriments on that community? And I think that builds on what Brad says, is we got to think about the community and how this impacts the community. And 25% loss of expected, let's say, either incoming revenue or 25% of what expected, the amount of savings you have is just gone overnight. What would that do to a retailer? What would that do to a normal person? Community-led business is the same thing. And we want to be very careful about how we view that, realizing that not only if a community is hurt and a compound goes down, how many lives or people are impacted because we were too busy working in arbitration of the ethics of what code is, rather than just acting and taking care and protecting communities. And the goal is rather not to say, we are the law, but the goal is to say that we are arbitrators and we agree on a criteria. And if the criteria is met, if we agree upon a bug against criteria and it triggers, then the payout must occur. And it's meant to be done in the best intentions of each community.
Yeah, I think we're seeing some great stuff happening, like just with the way that communities are starting to work out these problems themselves, figure out the best ways forward. Like, we all know how this works in the banking system. If I was to send Brad or John, I don't know, $1,000 today by mistake, it's theirs. They don't have to give it back to me. And it's the same thing when it comes to crypto transactions in and out. But again, if the bank messes up and sends everyone a quarter of the funds they have on deposit, then the bank shareholders have a big problem. And most likely they're going to convene and come up with a solution that doesn't involve leaving everyone with these funds in their bank accounts. So like this, I think the way the crypto protocols and like DAOs are doing it is, in some cases, it can potentially be tilted in the like DAO members' favor, or the people who potentially like see it as their personal loss. But I think long-term, building out structures that work and like allow these sorts of incidents to be arbitrated and handled are growing, developing, getting better every day. So I think soon people are going to see DeFi protocols, the sort of DAO structures, as basically a more advanced way to decide some of these community issues, whether a community is all the shareholders of a bank, as kind of works in TradFi, or all the members of a protocol community, as it can be in our world here. So it's good to see it happening. I like to see the debates, and I'm going to definitely follow the results of this with a lot of interest.
Well, thank you, guys. So you go, Kat. You got a very throughout response, and all of our other viewers as well. But that's it with the questions. Many thanks to Jonathan, Brian, and Brad for this great discussion. And thank you all for tuning in. Before you go, we want to invite you to take part in Steadystate's Ambassador Program. We are looking for crypto-minded people who would share with the world what Steadystate is building. Steadystate's ambassadors' main tasks are posting in different social media channels like Twitter, Telegram, Reddit, blogs, Quora, and YouTube. And also there are up to 200,000 risk tokens out there for grab. So if you want to know more about our ambassador program, either direct message me on Discord or Telegram, and I'll tell you more about it. And don't forget the meme contest. See you guys next week. Take care. Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.